that Jacob spent in Egypt were the best years of his life. It was quiet. For once, it was quiet. He didn't have a brother that hated him. He didn't have a daughter that got kidnapped. He didn't have a son that maybe died. He didn't have this story with his older son. He didn't have his older son changing. He didn't have all this craziness going on. He didn't have a father-in-law making bad deals on him. For the first time, he can just enjoy. He has his whole family. They're all together. And it was quiet. It was quiet. It was a good life. But we don't know anything about what happened during that time. So we said last time that sometimes the times where things are happening and things are crazy, maybe you think it's crazy, it should be quiet, but this is the time where we grow the most, because we have challenges, and the challenges are the things that make us grow. Okay, that the time where things are really crazy, there are opportunity for us to grow the most. Jacob is, his son is the viceroy of Egypt. He knows that he's going to die. I called his son and I said, I want you to do me a kindness. And I want you to swear that you're not going to bury me in Egypt. So he said, I want to be buried with my fathers in the same place where Adam and Eve were buried, where Abraham and Sarah were buried, where Isaac and Rebecca were buried. So and Leah, his wife, was already buried there. So he said he wants to be buried there. Promise me you're going to swear to me that you're going to take me there, right? Joseph said, I'm going to do it. He said, it's not enough you tell me you're going to do it. I want you to swear. And he made him swear. Do you remember that at the time that Joseph came out of jail and was brought in front of the king, and he went step by step onto the throne towards the king, and every language he knew, he got up a step, another step, another step. When he got to the top step, he knew more than the king of Egypt. Mm-hmm. And so, according to the laws of Egypt, the one who knew the most was king. Mm-hmm. So the king told Joseph, swear, you can do anything you want, but you're going to swear to me, that you will never tell anyone that you know more than I. Because otherwise I lose my function. Okay, you're going to do whatever you want, but I'll be the king in name. Now, when Joseph later on, after the blessings that Jacob is going to give his grandchildren, and his children and grandchildren, after a while, when Joseph wanted to bring his father out of Egypt, the king said, you can't. The father of the viceroy, of course, is going to be embalmed. We're going to make a pyramid. We're going to make a big deal out of this. You can't take him away, and you certainly cannot leave the country. And Joseph said, I swore to my father. And because he said, I will swore to my father, now the king couldn't say to him, doesn't matter if you swear or not. Because if it doesn't matter if I swear or not, then the swearing that I did to you in the past also is not going to count. And that's why Jacob asked him to swear. Dinah was the stepsister of Joseph. And Dinah had been raped and captured by a guy called Shem. And when the brothers, Shimon and Levi, went to deliver her and kill the whole town, she didn't want to go. She said, who's going to marry me now? So Shimon promised her, I'll marry you. So he said, I'll take care of you, you come with me. And she had a baby. And that baby, do you remember the story? What happened to that baby? To kill that baby. They said, we're not going to have the child of a rape born in our family. But Jacob said, we're not killing anybody here. That baby ended up in Egypt, and she eventually married Joseph, the viceroy. And she had 2 children, Ephraim and Menashe. These 2 children became part of, when you count the 12 tribes, there's really 13. But Levi is taken out because he has no land. And with Ephraim and Menashe, that replaces it. So when you count the tribe, you either count 13 or you count 12, but if you count 12, in any case you count, Joseph is not counting as one tribe. It's interesting, he's one of the brothers. So when you have 12 brothers, you should have 12 tribes. What you have is that Joseph is counted as 2 because his 2 children become a tribe on their own. In other words, he gets double portion. Instead of having, you count Joseph as one tribe, you're going to count now each tribe, and Joseph, he has 2 tribes. But they're considered full-fledged tribe.
Why?
That's what it is, because Jacob said, the children that you had, I will give, the 2 sons that were born to you in Egypt, before I came, will be considered as mine. That's what Jacob said to Joseph. The 2 children you have, it's like they're my children. Any children that you have after them, that's going to be counted as grandchildren. But these 2 counted like my children. The reason why I'm bringing up this point is like this. Sometimes people think they're damaged good. It's a very common thing. Oh, this happened to me, or this is where I spent my time for so many years, or I didn't behave properly, or, I did this or that. I'm not such a good person. A lot of people have that feeling. Now, I want to give you this as an example because the daughter of Dinah, some of the brothers wanted to get rid of her because it was that bad. What happened to this person that people thought she's no good? What happened to this girl that, number one, she married the viceroy of Egypt? Right? She married Joseph. So from being an abandoned girl, she was adopted, she was raised in the house of Potiphar, and she becomes the wife of the king of Egypt. From being someone that people thought no good, what did she became? She became the wife of the most powerful person in the world at that time. The second thing that I want to say is like this. From this person that you think is no good and damaged good or whatever, people want to get rid of her. On a spiritual level, her 2 children became full-fledged tribes. When you said the 12 tribes, her children did not become like grandchildren of Jacob. They were considered complete, like you are part of, you like my child. So when people have a bad feeling, I cannot do this, I cannot do that, it's just whatever they think, but it's not their potential, and it's not what could happen. Because you see that what is considered no good by someone can be achieving the highest level. That's also very good for parents and families to realize, because sometimes the family, they say, oh, okay, I have a son, he's great, he's doing good, and this one is not doing great. You know what? Sometimes the one who's not doing so great, he ends up being better than the other one. Yeah? So you cannot tell in advance what's going to be. You keep in mind this story of this girl that people wanted to get rid of her, and she ended up in the best position, and not only materially, but also spiritually. Jacob felt like he's going to die, and he said, I want to bless all my children. So everybody's gathering around him, and he says, listen, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden he blanks, becomes blank, can't figure out what to say. What's happening here? Sometimes, imagine somebody tells you this, you're going to go through this, and you're going to go through this, and you're going to go through that. It's very hard to know that you're going to go through hardship, right? It's better not to know. So sometimes it's better, like we say, take it one day at a time. Because if you look at the big picture, you get like, well, it's too much, So Jacob wanted to tell his children all the things that they're going to go through in history, and then he blanked. Because sometimes it's better not to know too much, you know? You take one day at a time every day. That's it. Okay, so now Jacob said, I want to bless my children. Okay, so he start with the oldest one. The oldest one is, you my firstborn, my strength, the beginning of my manhood, you're my first child. Even though he was not from the woman that he loved the most, Rachel, but still, you know what? He's not saying, you know, oh, you're not from my favorite wife, you're from Leah, so you're not going to be the first. No, you're the firstborn, you have the right. But there was a problem. And what's the problem with you, Reuven? Reuven was impulsive.
Listen.
It was impulsive. So he said, you like water. You know, one time it's going here, one time, you're not stable. So he said, because you did this, well, what happened is like this. Maybe you don't know the story. In the history of Jacob, he had 4 wives. And at some point, his favorite wife, Rachel, died. So now he's left with 3 wives. And basically he had 2 main wives and 2 concubines. When Rachel, who was the favorite, died, the son of Leah said, okay, now the wife died and my father now is going to go sleep in the tent of Leah, my mother. So he took his father's bed and put it in there. Made sense? Jacob was very mad. He said, you don't get involved in your father's business. Okay? You don't get involved. Reuven, he gets very emotional and very involved, and he thinks this is right and this is wrong and whatever. The truth is, whatever happened in the parent's life is not for you to judge or to figure out or to get involved with. Whatever happened in your parents' life, that's their life. You're not stable enough for leadership. So because of your actions and your character, you're not going to be the leader of the 12 tribes. So now, why is this a blessing? You want to tell me? Because he said, I'm going to bless you.
Responsibility is a curse.
Exactly. Responsibility is a hard thing. Leadership is very hard. You have a lot of responsibility. It's not like you feel like doing this or you do that. You have a lot more responsibility when you're the leader. So in that way, it was good for Reuven. He didn't have this on his head. Okay? So now he goes to the next son, Shimon and Levi. So Shimon and Levi, you have these 2 brothers in the family. They're always together. They hang out together. They mess around together. He said to these 2, you a pair. You're always getting along together, doing your stuff together. I am not going to go into this pair. Why? Because they're very angry. Their temperament is to be very angry. Like what happened when their sister Dinah got captured? They got around and they killed the whole town. And so when you have this thing of, indignation, of anger, whatever, if you use it for good thing, it's great. But if you go around and just smash everything and whatever, and it's not a good thing. This is what Jacob said to them. Your anger is cursed. So now I thought he's supposed to bless them. He told them, come and I shall bless you. So why now you cursing? But he didn't curse them. He cursed the anger, which is a different story, right? He cursed the anger. So now it's very important thing to understand that when you address a person, there is the person and then there is their qualities. Something that bothers you about them. But you have to separate the two. You have to separate the two. There is the person, there's the soul of the person, there's the good person, whatever. because of what they went through in life, because of the addiction, or because of this, or because of family things, or whatever it is, then they have this, personality traits that developed into them. Like somebody who never felt secure at home. So he feels insecure now. Wherever he goes, he feels insecure. But that's not the person. Jacob did them a favor. He cursed the anger. In other words, I curse the anger. You are good people. But your anger, I curse it. Like, let's get rid of it. Right? So always remember, when you deal with yourself, you can't tell yourself, I'm no good. You can't do that. You can say, I have a problem that I have to deal with, yes. But you can't say, I'm no good. So Jacob showed them, he didn't say, I cursed you. No. He said, I cursed your anger. This thing that you have to work on, that I curse it. Let's get rid of it. But he didn't say, you are not good. He said, your anger is not good. Okay? So that's very important always to remember. I am a good person, my essence is good, but the situation and the problem, that's something to be worked on, but it's not me. What happened when angry people, a whole bunch of angry people get together? What happened is, when you have one angry person, you have one. When you have a whole bunch, it's not like 1 + 1 + 1, it's exponential. It grows in vibration much more than the number of people. And so the intensity is multiplied, and we need to dilute it. When somebody gets drunk in their living room, okay, what's the worst gonna happen? I don't know, maybe they're gonna break something, maybe they fall asleep on the couch, whatever. If you have a whole bunch of drunken people together, it's much worse. Because a bad influence with the bad influence, it just multiplies the intensity of the bad influence. Listen, what they have, like people, they used to have this story about Marines, they get drunk, even though they're not supposed to touch anything, but they get drunk and then they go into a bar, and whoever they see, that's it. They're looking for a fight. That's what they enrolled to look for a fight. What I'm saying is that very often people get either enraged or impulsive or whatever, and they don't think what's going to happen tomorrow.
That's true.
Huh? Yeah. It's like right now it's fun. She's at the party, she's having a drink, another drink, she's finished. Okay, all right. So in any case, what we need to think is, what are the consequences? Because the mind, the logical mind, the prefrontal cortex can think of consequences. When a person is in the middle of addiction, the frontal cortex is shut down. That's why you can't think of consequences. Even if you want to, even if you know, it doesn't help. It doesn't help. So the next blessing, the next two sons that are being blessed is Judah. So he said, Judah is like a young lion. What's with the lion? The lion is that you have to be strong. But the strength that Jacob is blessing his son with is not the strength that is, like I'm enraged, like I'm going to punch this guy in the face. No, it's the strength of two strengths. Self-control and admission of what's wrong. So, do you know what happened to Judah? I don't know if we told this. I think I skipped that story. It was after the sale of Joseph. The brothers looked at Yehuda, who was supposed to be their leader, and they said to him, you told us to do this. Now look at what's happening to our father. It's completely destroyed. So we don't want you over here. So he was cast away. He went to a different place. He married to a woman over there, and he had 2 children. And then his children were in age to get married. So he married the first one with a woman. She was a very nice person, Tamar. And then this guy happened to not behave properly, whatever reason, he died. the second thing you know is that, okay, if the brother died now, you know what? In the days, was the rule. If the brother died, the woman who is left alone with no means of, of living, nobody's taking care of her.
Sustenance.
She would get married to the other brother. First of all, because now somebody needs to take care of her in the family, and number two, because now her children that she would have been having from her first husband will be close to that husband that died and be, from the second brother. But anyway, the second brother also messed up, so he also died. So now she is with nothing, and she's staying at her father's house, and Yehuda, the father-in-law, said, later, I have a third son, but later, when he's older, he'll
Down the road.
down the road.
He's
But
too
in the
young.
very, he didn't want to, the truth. Because he didn't want to, because my first son get married to her, he died. Second son gets married to this woman, is killing everyone. So meanwhile, what she did is that
Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga.
she knew she needs to be having children from this family. She had a prophecy in herself that she knew she needs to be married to someone in the family. So the youngest is not given to her. So what did she do? She put a veil on her. She dressed like a prostitute that used to wear a veil, and she waited on the road, and Yehuda was passing by, and all of a sudden, she needs to get together with this woman. It didn't intend to do this. It was like all of a sudden. So he goes and he has a relationship with her for just a one time, like it was just a one-time thing, and he didn't have anything on him, so he said, okay, I'm going to give you this because I didn't pay you, I don't have anything on me, I'm giving you my stick and my coat or whatever, and that's it. I'll send the money and then you'll give me my stuff back. Okay, fine. So the next day they go to the corner on the road where she was standing, and they don't find her. What you do? Can't do anything. Now she's gone, she disappeared. Meanwhile, she's living in her father's house, and lo and behold, she's pregnant. So now she's pregnant, and they say, wait a second. This woman is engaged to the third son. And now she's pregnant out of where? She didn't marry the third son. So it means she's engaged and she had a relationship with someone else, doesn't go. She was brought to court, and the court is at the head of the court is the main people, the highest people in the county, you would say. And Yehuda is one of them. He's one of the chief or the leader of the place. So he goes, and everybody agrees, like she needs to be killed. She needs to be killed. So she doesn't say anything.
What was the name?
At the time, you have to understand that at the time an engagement was like a marriage. They were legally married, but not living together yet. So there was 2 steps into the marriage. So she was legally married, and she became pregnant. So they accused her of doing something wrong, and they said, okay, she's going to be killed. So she doesn't say anything, but she says, I'm pregnant from the person whose stick this is. But at this point, the head of the court, like the main judge, is saying this woman deserves to die, and then she's, without saying his name, she says, I'm pregnant from the man whose this belonged to. And so what happened is, Yehuda at this point had a choice. He could keep quiet, because she didn't say who it's from. She's willing to be killed. Not to embarrass him. She didn't say anything. So he had a choice. He can keep quiet and she gets killed. Or he can get the shame of his life, admitting in front of everybody, he, the high judge, that he is the one who got her pregnant. He said, she's more righteous than I am. And he admitted to everyone, in front of everybody, that he is the one who did this.
Shame on him.
He didn't.
Yeah.
When he went out with her, he didn't know he
Smite
was his
him.
daughter-in-law.
Stone him.
He thought she was just a woman in the street. But still,
It's called
Yehuda had a power. The word Yehuda means to admit. To admit. It means to praise and to admit. Recognizing is a good word for Yehuda. Yehuda means to recognize. And this man had the strength to recognize his wrongdoing, which is a very hard thing to do, especially in front of the people that are honoring you, because you're the judge, you're the highest person in the court, you know? He had that strength. And so when Jacob blessed him, he said, be like a lion. A lion with an enormous strength, because to admit that you're wrong requires an enormous strength of character. Nobody wants to do this. I don't care what you're saying. Nobody wants to say, I'm wrong. Nobody wants to say, I should not have done it. We're behind excuses, whatever it is. He had the strength to say, I'm wrong. She's righteous and I'm wrong. That's the blessing that Jacob gave to his son Yehuda. And basically it's a blessing that also is given to everyone, to be strong like a lion, to be able to do the things we don't want to do, to be able to refrain ourselves when we need to, have the strength to refrain, but also have the strength to admit something that we did that was not right. It's an amazing blessing. This is the last portion of the book of Genesis. At the end of it, Jacob died. Joseph and all his brothers bring him in a royal procession. They brought him to his burial. When they arrived at the burial, there was a fight because Jacob's brother came and said, you're not going to be buried in this place. That's the family plot. I want to be buried there, not you. So he starts a fight. So Joseph said, wait a second. You sold this plot to your brother. You sold the whole land. You took the money and you sold your birthright. So they prove it. So Joseph sent Naphtali running to Egypt, says, look in my father's thing, whatever, bring back the contract and run back here. Meanwhile, in the meantime, what was happening is one grandson from Jacob is in his casket. He needs to be buried. He's right at the entrance. And nobody's doing anything because Esau proved this and is starting a fight. This guy, Hushim, he was a grandson of Jacob and he was deaf and mute, right? So he doesn't understand. Everybody's talking about it, but he doesn't know what's going on. And he was in charge of the children and things like that because he could not really be involved in the regular things. So he make with sign language, like, what's going on here? We came for the burial. Why isn't the burial not happening? So they explained to him, Esau is getting us into trouble, this and that. So Hushim doesn't understand any of the legality of anything. He takes a sword, he goes out, kill his uncle Esau, and that's it, finished. The reason, and after that, they could bury him. The reason why I'm bringing this up is like this. Sometimes the frontal cortex doesn't work and we cannot find logics. And sometimes the frontal cortex overworks in finding reason why we should do this and why we should do that. And maybe there's an argument, maybe it's a good thing if I drink a little bit, just a little bit to relax a little bit, or I've been in here for 3 months and it's just like now, right? The logic starts kicking in with all kinds of reasoning. So we learn from Hushim, when something is not right, don't go with arguments and reasoning and explanation and excuses. Clack, cut it off. Because if you start with the argument, maybe I should do that, and after, what's going to win? So sometimes Sometimes don't listen to arguments
Say hello to
that
my little
maybe,
friend.
yeah, it's a good idea, or maybe, yeah, it's for the sake of peace, maybe for the sake of friendship, I'll go with you, have a drink. But
It's a sniper.
don't listen. Cut it short. Just like this guy, he doesn't understand, he doesn't hear, and he doesn't talk. You doing this, it's wrong, bluff. Chuck it off. Knock it off.
Mamma mia.